Yo, what's up? My name is Marques, Pizarro, CEO and founder of PK Media. I help other agency owners scale beyond my level to 50K, 100K plus. And in this video, I have brought on a special guest, two amazing individuals who have scaled their agency beyond 10K a month. So if you're an agency owner that's stuck at 5, 10, or even 15K a month, this is the right video for you because they're gonna talk about the trials and tribulations, the lessons that they have learned so that they can continue increasing their revenue, their MRR, get more clients and keep more clients. They go from talking about the mindset, how to scale and build a team, the operations behind their business, and ultimately how to gain an edge in this saturated and competitive market that they are in, which specifically is real estate. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Chris and Paolo. What's up, Chris? Paolo, good to have you guys on. How are you guys doing in sunny Florida?
Doing great. Florida's nice. The weather's awesome. Food's amazing.
Food's
Yeah,
awesome. What I know you guys have traveled and we might talk about that. What were like some of the great spots that you definitely loved, whether it was just the food, the culture, the experience?
I think it depends on what you're trying to do.
Sure.
For working, I would definitely say Bangkok is really dope.
Mm.
Or just like not pulling away from everything and kind of just chilling, I would really say Italy is cool. And I think Japan's really cool for like doing touristy stuff. It's also pretty affordable, and same thing with Korea.
And Cape
Great.
Town's good too. Cape
Yeah,
Town
Cape
is
Town's
amazing.
vibe.
Yeah, we spent a month in Cape Town and it was amazing. It was everything that Iman hyped it up to be.
Yeah, I was about to say, we all know why Cape Town's a great one, great place. But cool. Didn't mean to start the segment off by a little bit of traveling hacks there, but I knew you guys know a little thing or two about it. We might even dive back into it, but yeah, I'm excited to have people understand your guys' business. You guys have grown to a great amount that people can look up to, especially whether they're starting out or they're stuck at a certain rev mark like 10K, 15K, which you guys pulled through and got out, and now you guys are just scaling to the moon. So let's just start from the very beginning. If you don't mind, share a little bit about how you guys started the business together, how you guys became business partners. I don't even know the story behind that.
Yeah, so we became business partners probably 2021 officially. But basically, me and Paulo knew each other through high school-ish, but we didn't really become like homies until like after high school, where we would like meet through friends of friends. And basically, long story short, we went to LA. We like did separate careers. Paulo got into basically private money, and then I got into property management. And basically, we just like grinded like the corporate work life, and then got to kind of like the tops of our like jobs. And then basically from there we just saved money, invested, and 2020, stock
Mm.
market crashed. We swung really hard, hit it, then basically quit our jobs, moved to Vegas, bought a house, and then started our first official business, which funny enough was actually a YouTube channel, like a finance YouTube channel.
Oh,
So we hired a bunch of VAs to do a YouTube channel. And basically at the end of a year, we were like, okay, we ran at a loss for basically 13 months straight. And we were like,
13, more than a year?
yeah, we dropped a decent amount on it, and basically made some money, but didn't, make too much money. And then we basically decided to like, what can we do with the skill set and our team that we've just worked with over the past year? And then we pivoted into agency life, I'd say officially in like May or June of 2022.
How'd you hear about the agency life?
I think it was actually from Iman.
Yeah.
I think we took his like first course. I think it was like agency navigator.
Yep.
It was that course. And we already had a YouTube channel, and we spoke with like this other girl that we were gonna hire for like social media management. And she had mentioned to us that she does like a certain amount, like $1,000 minimums. And we're like, what the hell? What do you do? And we figured out that she does an agency. So I think that's what kind of sparked us transitioning from like YouTube channel towards agency.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. You guys definitely have a unique background. Yeah, let's get straight into kind of some sauce here. So, what would you say was like the number one lesson, you guys being together for roughly 3-4 years now? I want to ask specifically as business partners. I know a lot of agency owners are looking for either like someone to take care of the front end, the sales, someone to take care of the back end. But I want your guys' take on like what's the biggest lesson you guys have learned from your own partnership?
I'll say for me, funny enough, I wish there was a course on this, because there's a lot of courses on how to do a business by yourself, but there's not really a bunch of courses on how to do it with a business partner. So I think one of the things that we had to learn just through time was that we don't both need to do everything. You know what I'm saying? Like when you first start a business, right? You don't, number one, you don't really know what you're doing. So you guys both do everything at the same time. You guys both work on, client acquisition. You guys both work on ops, both work on even service delivery, right? When you're still like smaller. So I think it's really that shift of like, there's two of us, so let's divide and conquer. A really good book would be actually E-Myth Revisited. And you basically go through your company and you're like, okay, what are all the key things? And then basically divide that up. So that way you can really like divide and conquer and take advantage of the fact there's two of you, right? Because I think it's like, let's say there's 4 key tasks. It's better that 2 go to one person and 2 go to the other than you both do 4, right? So I think that was a really key thing that took some time because no one really talks about it. So
Yeah, we were both doing sales and then we were both doing service delivery. So, sales would go up and then service delivery would go down. And we're like, what's going on? Why is like there was a month I think we closed a ton of clients, but service delivery wasn't that good. And it just kept fluctuating. And now we've split up the tasks. I work on sales, he focuses on like service delivery, and it's worked very well since then. And we actually learned that from you and Dylan. Funny enough, you actually you kind of like taught us that. You showed us that it's better to kind of like split task rather than both of us working on the same thing.
Yeah, more efficient. My favorite analogy is, just let the chef cook, let him cook, as they say, but let the person on the front end get people in the seats in the restaurant. So, that's 100% there. Yeah, another book I do recommend people read is Rocket Fuel. It's a more on the mental task side of even how to look for a partner. The simple way to say it is look for your complementary. So if you're good at front end, you don't have to suck at ops or fulfillment, but find someone who absolutely enjoys it. So yeah, 100%, man. So more about you guys. You guys help real estate. Um, you guys helped real estate, and I know the first way we met, you guys saw our service about DMing, but like, what would you say has been a huge needle mover when it comes to whether it's on the sales topic, the conversations with them, or on just gravitating more people towards you? What's been like your biggest takeaway? Because a lot of people nowadays, they're just starving for attention. They're just starving to get more people on their calendars. So I think a lot of people are listening right now, wondering what that is for you.
I think for real estate agents, uh, a good thing is like just reaching out to them directly. And like, I think cold calling is an interesting way to get your first couple clients, because agents are always on their phone. And like, you'd have to be a pretty terrible agent and not pick up your phone, especially because a lot of people are relocating from California and we have California numbers. So when we reach out to agents, they think like, oh, maybe this is a person who's moving, right? So at least we can start talking. I think another thing that really does help is just, everyone says this in the agency space, but like speaking their language, right? Before we started the agency, Paulo already had his real estate and mortgage license, and I worked in property management, and we owned a property. So we were pretty familiar with like real estate and like the process. So when we did go to speak to these agents, we could actually like use the terminology, and they kind of knew like, oh, this person knows, about real estate, right? And that helped. And then the fact that we leveraged our channel that we built for a year at a loss and said like, hey, here's how we do like the YouTube stuff. They could see that we both had like both backgrounds. So
Yeah, that story really allows you guys to be more vulnerable and actually share like your journey. I mean, it's not like you just learned it off a course. You guys actually bled your own money, to put it lightly, to be honest. And you guys are them, so you guys have a huge edge. So that is a really big thing to take away. Is knowing where they are, knowing where they'll pick up more, and then being able to play your leverage. You had connections, you had a good number. And a great portfolio to help you.
yeah.
Um, so I want to kind of take a 180 on this and kind of ask, what's your best mindset tip when it comes to growing and scaling? Say going from like, 10K to 20K or even 30K. Like, what's been the biggest needle mover? Because a lot of people, to be transparent, some people get stuck at 10K a month as an agency. Um, whether with a business owner or by themselves, running paid ads or doing content. what's your guys' like biggest lesson, whether it's practical or mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think something that we do very well is we track all of our KPIs, our growth KPIs. So every single month, we've had a mastermind every single week for many, many years. So basically, every week we have a mastermind where we're like, all right, what did we do well? What can we improve on? So we track every single KPIs. We have the Oura Ring, tracks our sleep. So we're just aware of like what really moves the needle. And every day we have this shared iPhone notes file. And this has been a game changer for us. It's actually called moving the needle, where we have a specific amount of like deep work hours that we allocate to whatever moves the needle the most. So for me, it could be like sales. For Chris, it could be operations. And basically, we just allocate the most important part of our day, like deep work hours, into whatever moves the needle the most. So I think basically just tracking all of our KPIs and just making sure that we're focusing on the things that move the needle the most.
Yeah. Also, I think I'd touch on something you said, Marcus. I think just sales. Just sell into the ground until like 10, 15K, and then you can really focus on like building stuff out and systems. But I would say too, like, I think it could be worth it to like take on the first client for free, just to see if you can even deliver the service. Because if you charge someone like 1 to 2,000 a month and you suck, they're gonna be pissed. So one of the cool things with us is we validated that we could produce results on our own channel before we did it for like other people. So that's one thing I would say is like figure out what service you can deliver. So for us, we already had like that real estate background, so it only made sense to like do real estate. For someone else, maybe their dad owns a pest control company or whatever, right? And they kind of know about that. So I would validate your service first and then sell like crazy. And then I think like past 15K, it's really systems and kind of refining your sales process.
Yeah, also reference selling. Like
Yeah, reference
basically
selling.
we have like clients give us testimonials. I think at this point we have like 7 really solid testimonials on our website. So we basically just have our clients vouch for us. So because we could say anything, we could say like, hey, we have the best service in the world, but if it's coming from our clients' mouths, then it holds a lot more weight. So I think that's really helped a lot.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, especially when you're at 10K now, you can leverage those results to propel you and your case studies to get more clients. You have more resources, whereas in the beginning, it's just you. And like you said, the first client, I was actually talking to a great friend of mine. He scaled also, he's in dental, which is crazy. You don't hear a lot of agencies in dental that scale because it's a tough niche too. But he did it. And the way he got his first client too was through a free trial. He actually asked for a part ownership, and it's so smart. He just asked for a little bit of ownership and did a rev share model, so he can technically say he owns a practice himself. I was
Yeah,
like, that is brilliant. And but he asked the consent. He asked consent. I think it was a family friend or something. But yeah, it's similar point to the pest control example that you gave. So if I had to really break it down, so data driven decisions, really tracking from a marketing standpoint, fulfillment standpoint, and a human being standpoint. Again, you got the Aura Ring tracking your sleep, making sure you're sleeping good. There's a good correlation, obviously, behind that. Um, and then Chris, remind me yours again. You mentioned outside from the free trial, you said building the team, right?
Yeah. Sell,
So
just sell probably one, maybe 2 sales channels until like 15K.
got it. Okay,
Yeah.
solid. And then yeah, and then Paolo, man, I got goldfish effect right here. And then Paolo, your third, the thing you added on top of that was
Basically like reference selling. Just anytime that you do very well for a client, here's a good tip. Like anytime you get a client to win, like for example, for us, we recently had a client that landed a big like condominium project. We asked them for a testimonial right after. So every time you get them a win, ask them for a video testimonial right after because they're super stoked. They're like, oh shit, you guys just got me a win. This is awesome. And then they're more inclined to give you a video testimonial and they're super happy during the testimonial. So that's just a nice tip, and just get as many video testimonials as you can to have as many people vouch for you.
all right, there you go. Yeah. I know that's one of the things, knowing like working with you guys, the pre-call has been a work in progress and a huge thing. And that's
Yeah.
something, right, that they can put into and send it out to people. So
Yeah.
that's some good stuff.
Wait,
Um
one more thing too.
yeah.
This one is actually so so crucial, I wish I knew this too, is being okay to charge a smaller amount on your first couple clients, as long as you know you can use them as a good reference. Like, so there were some clients where we're like, this person has, really good results. We can produce really good results for them and hit it out of the park. And then charging them a little bit less just so that we can, close for sure. And then you can use that client and then like use them, like Paulo mentioned, as a reference for other clients. So being willing to like, in the first couple clients, maybe take a smaller monthly fee, but then just use them like a reference, and then that will help when you go to the sell like crazy mode. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, leverage your golden goose clients. The goal isn't just to extract monetary value, but I call it social currency, the connections that they can bring. So that's phenomenal. Okay, so one thing you mentioned was while scaling was teams. Tell me a little bit about how you built out the team, because I know it's a bit interesting. It's a bit different than your typical agency that gets a media buyer, that gets a closer. I mean, there's two of you guys. And Paolo, you mentioned you're the salesperson. Walk me through and walk everyone through. How does that look like? How do you set that up? And then, I'm going to ask that culture question, how you guys are treating the team.
Yeah, as far as culture goes, we've actually had our team read one book a month, every single month for like many years. So towards the end of like we have a Monday meeting every single week, and the first Monday meeting of every month, we have a book discussion with everybody on the team. So for example, we'd have like Made in America by Sam Walton and Deep Work by Cal Newport. Like we would just have the entire team read the same exact book, and then we all just talk about it. So I think that fed very well into the culture. And we also really like war. So or Greek mythology. So we
How
split
often,
up.
how often
And
do you guys think about the Roman Empire?
yeah, so we have different blocks. Like we have Atlas block, Athena block, Apollo block. So you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I'll also touch on team culture. I think one of the cheesiest things I ever heard, but it's so applicable, is really just be the change you want to see. So one of the things I've noticed for culture too is like your team will essentially reflect you as you are, right? So if you're like on time and you're doing that consistently week after week for like weeks, like people who are like tend to be more late, they'll usually be more on time. If you don't party all the time, your team members who might like be partying all the time will start to party less over time. It's just weird, like without you even telling them. If you like to be disciplined and do certain things, like I feel like people just like, number one, you attract, like your vibe attracts your tribe. So like I think when you hire, the people who are more similar to you like attract to you. So if you're like a undisciplined person, you're gonna attract that. Versus if you try to be disciplined, like better every day, like you're gonna attract those type of people. And I feel like you spend so much time with your team, and they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You spend so much time with your team that you inevitably rub off on them. So I think one of the biggest things for culture is like be the culture that you want your company to have, and then your team, a lot of times without you even saying that, will just basically like start to reflect that as well.
Wow, that is some heated gems. I really love that. Going deep into it starts within you, as a leader, as the owner.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like, Michael Jordan, how hard he was on his team. Like I remember he said like he missed, everyone goes on vacation during the off season, whether they win the championship or not. But after the second time they lost against the Pistons, he just went straight to the gym. I remember he told Tim Grover, his trainer, Tim was like, hey, just message me whenever you're ready to come back into the gym. He was like thinking a month after vacation in Bahamas and all that. He was like, I'm ready to go tomorrow. So it's really that mindset, it's really setting that standard. I remember one of his team members really quick. It's so good. If anyone hasn't seen Last Dance, you guys put it on your list, watch it tonight.
Amazing.
Anyways, like his teammate said, like, man, if your leader is giving it his all and you're not, you don't feel like you deserve to be here because you're gonna let him down. You're gonna let down the leader. So it's like that
100%.
standard, that you put as an example too, as a role model, just by action.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think on the opposite note, if you're like in party mode, I feel like your team can also sense that, funny enough. And I feel like they chill more. So I feel like it's like this weird thing where like, you know,
Yeah, I remember you told us during a call, like your team pays attention to everything that you do. So if you're like on degenerate mode and you're out there drinking and partying, they could see like, you know, you showing up to the meetings like hungover, or if you're like on top of it, then they're able to sense that as well. So the energy like on the meetings is very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even the nonverbal cues, you know, just showing up, like little shrug off, you know, it's gonna change, you know, how things look. And that again is attention to detail when you're at scale, when you have two team members. And it rubs off each other. It rubs off you guys too. So that's huge. Okay, so one last thing. I usually don't do this, but I'm
Yeah,
kind of drawing a blank on questions. I want you guys to ask me a question. I want to flip it. What is something that you wish you asked me um that you would ask me too?
funny enough, I already have a question for you, but my question for you is what I was gonna say for Saturday, but how do you get people to watch the pre-call page? Like what's your favorite saying to get people to watch the pre-call page?
Okay, so cool. I'll make this applicable to the viewers out there. So pre-call page, I'll drop mine. It's basically a way to nurture people, whether it's from paid ads to an intro call. We'll see you do a 2-call close. From an intro call to a demo. Usually that's the main reason. After they've spoken to you over the phone, they can put a face to the name, see the case studies prior to hopping on the sales call where they should turn up and invest right then and on the spot. So the goal of it is to nurture them and get them to move forward. You know, the whole psychology, I don't really know the figure behind it, but it takes 10 hours with you, 7 hours in front of you, right? All that stuff. That's what a pre-call page is there for, is to have people do their diligence intentionally. Now, practically, one of the ways we do it, let's just say through an intro, right? You had their green light and you get them on a demo. You send them the pre-call page, right? You verbally tell them at the end of the call, say, hey, look forward to chatting with you tomorrow, Saturday, 5 p.m., whatever. Hey, before our call, I want it to go 110% smooth. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra homework just so you know what this is, how this works, and ultimately you and I can have that conversation about your business rather than the basic stuff that we should know about, you know, about the marketing. So you give them this homework and it's a great tool to share like what you're going to cover on the next call, who you've helped, again, nurturing them. So your question now is, how do you get them to watch it? So that's a great question. It really comes from that verbal dialogue on the intro call. I've gotten a lot more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but I've made it more of an assignment. I don't just say, hey, here's a pre-call page, have at it, you know, check it out if you're interested. It's more like, hey, do you think you can take a look at this? It'd probably give you like 8 to 10 minutes just to breeze through everything. I know you might have questions about who we've done this for, what do we do things on. I think it'll answer all those questions so we can take care of business on the next call and see how we can make it work for you specifically. Can you do that? They give you the verbal commitment. They say, yeah. And that's where you can be like, awesome. I know you're an action taker. So I know you can, I know you'll probably watch it anyways. So you kind of plant that identity on them too and be like, I know you're an action taker. I know you're going to take a look at it and make sure we're a good fit.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, that's
We're
solid.
definitely gonna implement that on
Yeah.
on our next call.
With the trigger link for confirmation too.
Yes, yes. And so what Paul what Chris was saying, guys, is there's a way to track there's a way to track it. You know, I'll link the video. I'll link the Loom video. I have like a Loom video I recently made.
Scary at this point, that
People
video.
can see. Yeah, at this point everyone's like, make a new YouTube video on this. It's like, oh, okay. Guys, I want to ask you know how podcasts and YouTube have usually like that last remark, that last question. I got two. I'll just do it one at a time. One is, where do you guys feel like you should be by the end of this year? So we got 4 more months coming, basically 4 more months. Where do you guys feel like you should be by 2025?
I think in terms of like where we are now, I think we should at least be 40% higher. There's definitely a couple obstacles this year that we had to figure out, but I think overall, I think it's getting easier actually. The more that we scale, like it's this weird point where there's actually less friction because service delivery is just getting increasingly more dialed, or closing process, onboarding process, training of the team process, managing the team process, everything's just getting more and more efficient. So I'd say at least like 40% bigger. I think ideally, I think it should be like 100%, but you know,
What's 40% just for MRR reasons, if you don't mind sharing?
uh, math would be like an additional
50? Like
12.
just
Yeah, so probably around like 45 to 50K.
yeah. Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Paolo, what would you say the same?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say the same. And we gotta spend more on ad spend.
I
I
know
think
I
the
keep
main thing is
knocking you guys.
spending more on ad spend.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
about to roll out on ad spend actually.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like split testing with like landing pages and hooks, like you had mentioned, and you had coached us to do for the ads. So there's a lot of stuff that we got to figure out. But yeah, 50K MRR, like very, very confident.
Got it. And my last question is, this is like the more podcast-esque type of question. Um, my thing is lesson. What's the number one lesson for less failures? What's the number one lesson in your life for less failures or less regrets?
I can definitely speak on the failure thing. So I've noticed in life, as long as you're putting out at least 85% of your total energy into a thing, you never take L's. So Paul and I joke that we haven't taken an
Okay.
L since like before 2020,
Wow.
right? Because before 2020, we were distracted, you know, we're actively dating or whatever you do, you know, as a younger early 20s guy, you know, you're not super focused. But I think past 85% total focus, anything past that point, you stop taking L's. Like you might take like temporary setbacks, but I feel like you don't ever take something where you're like, I completely took like a fat L. Like I definitely think there's a couple setbacks, but that's my main thing because before then, there's definitely some times where I'm like, that was a massive L. But after 2020, like I can't think of a time that we really something bad happened. I was like, that was an L. So that's what I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah. To
Like
add on,
business, like business going under, or like,
Yeah,
big battles lost that were preventable. Okay.
nothing.
You're saying,
yeah.
Paolo?
Yeah, just to add on to that, just be wary of like your environment and your association. Like for example, let's say like you're an alcoholic. You don't want to have alcohol in the house at all. So for us, I think it's we're very big on like delayed gratification and just like controlling our vices. Like for example, this year haven't had a single sip of alcohol, haven't, smoked any like cigars or nicotine or anything. So it's just I'd say for me personally, it's also just like delaying gratification and watching who you spend the most time with, because if you're spending time with like super lazy people that don't do shit, then you're going to be inclined to want to not do shit either. But if you surround yourself with like high performers and top producers, then your mindset's just going to be elevated. So that's what I've noticed.
Great stuff, man. No, I appreciate that. And I think the viewers will appreciate that. Um, tip sort of less regrets, more like less failure. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. I appreciate you guys sharing a lot about your agency, what you guys have learned over scaling. And it's honestly been a pleasure, seeing your guys' growth this year and for the years to come, honestly. So I'm excited to see you guys take over, see you guys scale, build a massive empire. You guys talking about wars in here, so here we go. And yeah, just World War III might be one thing, but you guys are creating your own war.
For
But
real.
anyways,
Hey, we appreciate your help too, Marcus. Like
Yeah,
you've helped us so much tremendously with the scaling process, and
so
it's
much.
it's been awesome as well.
absolutely. Well, guys, appreciate you watching this. I'll drop like links if people want to follow you. I'm pretty sure you've inspired a lot of people, so it's cool if I link like your Instagrams or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's example.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. All right, appreciate you guys.
Hi, Marcus.
All right, Marcus.
Cool.
Peace.